Hello and welcome to Talking TSM, the Game Houses talk show about TSM's LCS team. I'm Robert Haynes, and I will be your host, your guide into the world of TSM. The show is still not sponsored by anybody, but that's okay. If you or somebody you know might be interested, then please reach out at business@thegamehouse.com. Thank you. Announcements today. Before we get into the big news, as a reminder, this is definitely going to be a longer episode. I would imagine at least an hour. Maybe it'll be a little less, maybe a little more, but we got a lot to go over. Today's going to be an important day, okay? First thing is the Talking TSM Draft Buff League is set, and we'll be drafting on Sunday. Yes, Sunday. We had some issues getting things set up beforehand with time zones and whatnot. But more importantly, the season for Draft Buff, if you're doing LCS and LEC, which is much better for 10-team leagues, which we have, by the way, it's better to have both. And since the LEC doesn't start till next week, they don't start, everything until, 1 week in. So I'm pretty excited. To say the least. Our draft's going to be super fun. I'm going to be keeping you all updated on, who is in, which I'll be announcing here in a second. How the draft is going, or has gone, I should say. And most importantly, who's winning each week, which we all know your boy Robert here is going to take the trophy, okay? It's going to happen. Although we have some pretty smart people in this draft, and I have already given away my strategies. If you didn't see this week, I published 5 tips for drafting in your Draft Buff League. Make sure to check that out. I also did my fantasy rankings for Draft Buff, which was tough. It took a long time, but I'm pretty happy with the way they came out. Again, those rankings, by the way, do not talk about like who's the best player necessarily. It's about how many points I think they're going to score, what their value is, all that stuff. So I promised the Draft Buff League people who are quickly becoming friends that I would give them a shout out this week as a big thank you. So here are the 9 contestants in this season's Draft Buff League. These are their Discord names, by the way. The Emperors, Aaron, who you all know made this logo. Big shout out again to him for that. Brooks, who was on the show last week. Low Smith, also known as Mr. Highsmith, somebody who has been a huge supporter since the very first episode. Mellory. Another person who you all might recognize, also known as Benjamin, who was on an earlier episode, I believe episode 3, and we'll be, I'm sure, talking to him as we get ready, with his algorithm and whatnot for the season. Monkey, Speakalicious, or it's either Spika or Spika. I want to say Spika because, Spika. Wings of Fury, and last and certainly not least, Ikem, who is playing from all the way across the pond in Europe, and was so willing to sacrifice his sleep schedule initially until we figured out that we could just do Sunday, and asked me, to give him a shout out, and a proper and deserved shout out to Ikem. So those are your 9 contestants along with myself. I'll be keeping you updated. Even if you guys don't care, I don't really care. I mean, I do care, obviously, but I hope you guys will enjoy hearing about how our season's going, and what everybody's doing. I promise it won't take up very long in the stream, but hey, it's something fun, and it might get everybody interested, because maybe, just maybe, we would have people interested enough to do, 2 leagues for the summer. We'll see. Also, there's been a lot of great discussion. These guys and maybe gals, I don't know yet, but I know there are some guys for sure in this who are in the Talking TSM Discord, which is in the description, / will be in the Reddit post as well. They've already been having some great discussions about players. They keep up to date with all the news. They're even helping me with some of the news. And you all should jump into the TTSM Discord. It's a great place to talk and, to really discuss everything that's going on in the world of not only talking TSM, but just TSM and the LCS in general. So I really hope you all will jump in there. It's been extremely active so far and super fun. But we're almost 6 minutes in now. And we have not even arguably, the most important thing is games are this week. We are back. The LCS, after a long off season. It has felt like an eternity since Worlds. Maybe it's just because the world just sucks right now and everything has just been going crazy. I think we're all ready for something to take our minds off of all the crazy crap, especially if you're here in the United States. And then obviously for around the world, for COVID, I hope you all are out there staying healthy and safe. But the lock-in tournament will be beginning in about 24 hours from when I recorded this podcast. And I want to quickly go over what the schedule is like for our TSM team. As a reminder, they are in a group of 4 teams, and they will be playing, 4 games, 1 against each. So it's just a single round robin. And then if they do well enough to not finish in last in that group, they will head to the first round of playoffs. And then, it's just a knockout bracket after that. I believe it's best of 3s. So, So here's what we got. On Friday, January 15th, TSM will be playing 100 Thieves at 6 p.m. Eastern Standard, also known as 3 p.m. Pacific Standard. By the way, you can get all of this at thegamehouse.com on the TSM page, where I did the full schedule for the year. I've got all their dates. We don't know the exact times or who their opponents are yet for later in the season, but we do have everything else. So, so Friday, 100 Thieves to start off the season, 6 p.m. I'm hyped. And I believe that might be the first game of the season. So we'll go over, more about who they're playing and everything, but just wait for right now. Saturday, January 16th, they play at 5 p.m. Eastern, 2 p.m. Pacific, and they're playing Golden Guardians. Okay, so a little, I guess technically their playoff rematch will be that first game against 100 Thieves. But, then they play again on Sunday, January 17th, 7 p.m. Eastern, 4 p.m. Pacific time against CLG, the once great rivalry of TSM CLG that has become very lopsided. And then they will finish out their first round robin the next weekend against on Friday, January 22nd, against Team Liquid at 9 p.m. Eastern Standard or 6 p.m. Pacific. So just so you know, there are some teams that will play all of their games in that first weekend. There are some teams that will not. Most of the teams won't. There are some teams that have 2 games in one day. TSM were lucky enough to not have that. I don't know why they did that. I really don't understand why they didn't just have everybody play 1 game a day. I don't know. It was a little bit of a weird decision, but I guess maybe they wanted to get some primetime games in there. I don't know. But either way, that is the TSM schedule. And then after that, I think they would play on the 23rd in the first round. And then the second round and finals, I believe, would be that next weekend. So I think it's the weekend of the 29th through the 31st. And then the week after that would be the first regular season week. So, a lot of great stuff coming up, to say the least. But there's more to this lock-in tournament. So first off, there are some players who have either been in contact with COVID or have contracted COVID. They're still kind of trying to figure that out. I believe Dignitas is one of the teams. So, and the thing that's interesting is I don't know if they've announced yet. I'm assuming all the teams will be playing from home or from their facilities. I know most of the teams have been practicing together so far, which is why it's a little bit of a concern if, one of the Dignitas players does have it. I was hoping that everybody would respect the bubble and then be able to go to, play on stage again, for this lock-in tournament. I don't know that's going to happen, unfortunately, but what do you do? So, there are some players out with that. There are some players that are also having visa issues as well. Specifically, it looks like CLG are going to be no Finn, no Broxa. They're going to be having Solo and Wiggly start for them. So that team will be Solo, Wiggly, Poe Belter, Wild Turtle, and Smoothie. In my opinion, a huge downgrade at jungle for them. And then potentially a side grade. I don't know yet. Finn, we'll have to see how he does. But potentially a side grade for them in the top lane. And then most importantly, TL are going to be without Santorin, at least for week 1. Which sadly doesn't matter because he'll probably be here for week 2 when TSM plays them. But what's more important is the fact that he hasn't been able to really practice with the team yet. So, I think this lock-in tournament might have even been intentionally done just so that they could have something interesting, start the season still on time, but not have it count against the teams because of visa issues or COVID. Once they get some things figured out, then, all that stuff could change. But, yeah, so, those are the players that we know that are out so far. Again, there might be some Dignitas players, too. I have not totally seen or been confirmed on who's going to not be there or who's going to be there, what all that stuff's going on. But we'll get it all figured out. But I do want to go a little deeper into the group. And today I will be publishing my LCS preview for 2021 spring. That does include some of these predictions for how I believe the team is going to perform in the lock-in tournament. So, you can always just, skip this part, although I think this is the main part of it all for this podcast, and then head to the Game House, and you can get at least a much more abbreviated stance on kind of how I'm seeing everything right now for TSM heading into the season. I meant to get those out yesterday. It's been a crazy week. It's been a crazy last couple weeks, even since we last talked last week, I don't know if you guys saw, but League of Legends, had all the announcements. We have the new champion, Viego, coming out, also known as the Rune King. That champion looks tailor-made for somebody like Spica. So let's hope that he hits the Rift very soon and that they are willing to use him. But, when I'm looking at the lock-in, it would have been good to be in Group B. I correctly predicted the groups outside of which top team, FlyQuest or TSM, would be in them, right? So, kind of pumped about that. We have TL, 100 Thieves, CLG, and Golden Guardians, like I said. Then, the rest of the league has, what is that? Dignitas, IMT, FlyQuest, Cloud9, and Evil Geniuses. So I think, TSM probably would have preferred that team. I still haven't seen anything about how exactly the draft happened because they just kind of randomly announced it in the middle of the day on Friday. After all the other stuff that was going on with the League of Legends live stream. And so they, again, the exact teams in terms of how I would have drafted it happened. It's just that for some reason, I guess maybe the teams were picking it for the other team. So I guess FlyQuest was, choosing the teams that we wanted to, that we would be facing, and we were choosing the teams that they would be facing. And I guess since, they finished second, I guess they had first pick, and it kind of went, it looks like the exact way that I would have drafted it. Just, I don't know. Maybe it was from the bottom or top down. So I don't know. It was, again, I didn't dive too deeply into it. I'll be honest with you. I'm still a little confused how TSM got the tougher group Because I mean, when you look at it, TL and 100 Thieves are definitely going to be top 4 teams at least to start the season on paper, and then CLG is going to be fighting, for a top spot and at least a playoff spot as well. So I don't know. Anyways, getting into the groups, it's going to be interesting. I want to go game by game, and then what we're going to do as well is we're going to talk a little bit about about the meta, where I think they're going to finish, and what I'm thinking matters most with this tournament. So to start, with this group again, I think TSM, there's the good thing for TSM is that they're going to be facing teams that are going to challenge them. Okay? And there's a biblical proverb that says, as iron sharpens iron, one man sharpens another. Whether you're religious or not, a lot of people like to use, different sayings, and I think that that's a really good one that applies well in this scenario, because this team, the more that they can be, have their feet to the fire, to really be pushed harder, and to face greater challenges, the better they're going to be, or at least the more they're going to learn about themselves. And so I think that this is an extremely important time, and while I would have preferred the easier group, it doesn't matter. There's almost, knock on wood, if you are superstitious like I am, or kiss your lucky rabbit's feet, TSM shouldn't finish at the bottom of this group, more than likely, okay? They realistically only have to win one of their 4 games, at least 2, but one potentially will get them out of the group. And so, you only have to get, be top 4 to get out of the group, out of your 5. And, them facing TL 100 Thieves specifically is going to be great for them. And I'm really excited about Friday's game. While, Spica's the only one who was there for our epic lower bracket run, where we lost to, obviously, Golden Guardians and then ended up beating them in a great 5-game series. Most of that team's on 100 Thieves now, in case if you did not know that. And, they added Someday, which, while we all love Hunter, I love Hunter. I love him a lot. He's been one of my favorite players for a really long time. Well, it doesn't matter. His headband has always been one of my favorite things that he did. I wish he'd bring it back. But, Someday is a exponential upgrade over Hanser. And this team was already tough. FBI, who he is going to be looking to show their dominance, to show that they are arguably the best bot lane in the LCS. Again, arguably, I think obviously Tactical and Core JJ probably have that right now, but FBI and Huhi are making their way there. And so with TSM facing this team first, they're really going to figure out what's going right and what's going wrong, because this is also the team that has the most cohesion of any team in the LCS. Even Cloud9 has replaced 2 of their players. TL replaced 2 of their players. Everybody else has replaced pretty much all their players, right? But this team, while yes, they are going to be on 100 Thieves and have a different coaching staff, 4 of their players, in Closer Demonte, FBI, and Huhi, have all played together already. And Someday has never seemed to need a good team, because he just does whatever the hell he does and is great at all times. He is I think still one of the most vastly underrated players in the league, and has been for a long time. And if I'm being honest, I think I've said this before too, like 100 Thieves is the team that I fear the most. Out of any team starting this season, and for TSM specifically, they're the team that I fear the most, because I think if there's a team that can keep us from being in the top 3 for either the whole season or at least for, the spring split, this is the team that does it. It's not going to be TL. It's not going to be C9. We already know what they can do and what we expect out of them and what everybody expects out of them. And we expect TSM to be up in that conversation. And when I look at the LCS as a whole, I see, TL, C9, TSM, and 100 Thieves. Those are my 4 teams that I think should be vying for all the awards, all the everything, because truthfully, everybody else is kind of trying new things, or they're CLG and evil geniuses where they're missing some pretty big pieces, or they have players that they don't necessarily trust. And so when I look at this game, I really see an opportunity for TSM to learn. And that's important for this team, because when it comes down to it, this entire tournament doesn't really matter. And I know that that's not what anybody wants to hear. Well, oh man, what are you talking about? Of course it matters. There's money on the line. There's pride on the line. Whatever. I get it. But for a team like TSM, this is a litmus test for them. This is a chance for them to figure out how good are they. What things do they need to work on? What things are they already good at? Right? How can they grow as a team? And facing a team like 100 Thieves right off the bat, there's a chance. I'm not saying it's going to happen. I'm hopeful that's not going to happen. But there's a chance they get punched straight up in the mouth to start the season. Because the 4 players they're facing, they want it bad. They want to beat TSM for knocking them out and not giving them their chance at Worlds. And Spica's the only one from, the team that beat them that will have any memory of that, because he was the only one that was there. Lost might have known, because he was still on the team technically, but Sword Art was off doing his own thing. Power of Evil had already been knocked out, I believe. Either that or he was prepping for his own games, and Hooney had, I'm almost sure, either been knocked out or was gonna get knocked out like the next day or whatever. Right? Evil Geniuses didn't make it very far. And so, yeah, this is a big game. And I expect it to be a game where DeMonte is roaming a lot. Hooney is going to just have to hold his own in the top lane against Someday. He's just going to have to just sit there and do his thing. And when we go through the meta, you guys are going to be excited. There's one of his best champions is very much in the meta right now. I mean, very much in the meta. And to give you a quick preview, he has played 30 games on this champion. Well, 29, excuse me. And he's 20-9 on it. Okay? So, very good news about that. But, we continue on. Closer and Spica, I think those are, between them and Blabber and Santorin, I think those are the top 4 junglers. Again, all from the same team, coincidentally. Same 4 teams that I was discussing earlier. And I think that they are going to have a really nice rivalry. They came in right around the same time. I expect Closer to stay in NA and stay relevant in NA for a really long time. I think he's that good of a player. And I think that they have some similar play styles, but I think, I think Spica's a little bit more aggressive, and I think he showed that. And in their last meeting, Spica took him to town. I mean, how many times did you hear Closer making a big play or doing anything substantial during their series at the, their second series? Even in their first series, Spica did not play that badly. So, I can't wait to see that matchup. And then, Power of Evil and DeMonte kind of play a similar style to a certain degree. Well, no, I shouldn't say that. They started playing a similar roaming style because that was what the meta was. I haven't gotten to watch much LPL or LCK yet. I can't say that I'm seeing that same style right now. It looks like a lot of it is going to be what everybody should be excited about. Mages, specifically control mages, in the mid lane. Man, I wonder who does that really well. Anyways, so... they're going to be looking to make plays. I think Power of Evil is going to look to really keep DeMonte at his tower. Unless if DeMonte pulls out Ziggs again or something like that, we shouldn't, expect anything differently. And then the bot lane is going to be where I think that this first game is going to be decided. Can he and Sword Art have enough of a, I don't know, I can't think of the word, but can they work well enough together to really start showing how good of a bot lane that they could be? And are they going to be able to take on 2 people who have been working together for a long time now in terms of, how League goes these days, and who were dominating Doublelift and Biofrost and most of the League by the end of the season, honestly. I still think FBI is underrated. I think a lot of people are just not giving him enough credit for how good he can be and who he clearly showed what he can be. But this meta is going to be a lot different for Huhi and what he is used to. So it's going to fit a lot more of Sword Art. So we're going to have to see. But I think this game will be decided in the bot lane. One of the things that I forgot about, and I think most people have, is yes, Spica and Lost played together on TSM Academy, but they also played together on Echo Fox. Like, Spica's first times, in the LCS in Academy were with Lost as his AD carry. So there is a little bit of synergy there. That was the word I was looking for earlier, synergy. And so, I think if Spica can help the bot lane get ahead, and I think if the bot lane can hold their own, and Huni can do his thing, I think that TSM win this game. I think it's going to be close, and I can see them pulling it out. But if the bot lane struggles, if FBI gets ahead, and if they don't enable, because they're so far behind, Spica to do what he does best, which is put pressure constantly, be moving all around the map, getting kills, not really farming. I mean, he can farm, but he's much more of a proactive jungler. If he's kind of relegated to just trying to be reactive and farm, then this team could lose very, very quickly. So, it's going to be up to Bjerg and the boys, or whoever else he has in this coaching staff, making sure that this team is ready to roll, that they understand their roles, and, that they, understand the meta, and that they can come in and impose their will. As Brooks pointed out last week, I think their style is going to be a lot more aggressive the more I think about it. While I think that Power of Evil is going to be maybe a little bit more playing back to a certain degree, I think he's going to do that to Rome and to make an impact around the map. So it's going to be interesting to see that one. And I am predicting a TSM win. So that's our one win. Now we head into game 2, which, if I remember correctly, I said was CLG. No, Golden Guardians. And this is the worst team in the group. They have a bunch of unproven young talent. They have some interesting players. I'm most interested to see Niles and a Blaze Olive play. I'm not expecting much out of Iconic. I think he might be the worst player in the LCS, and that's not a slight on him. I think that them bringing him in, I don't know that he's ready. He did not look good in in Scouting Grounds. I really didn't find him to be all that impactful. And Niles looked great. He's got a commanding presence. I think he's going to be the one trying to lead the team, funny enough, because even though they have Stixxay, I don't know that he's necessarily that voice. And I think Niles is going to be the one making a lot of the calls. Newbie is, very new. So this is a game that even if TSM lose to 100 Thieves, which I don't think they will, I think this is the game where they get their second win rather handily. And if they lose this game, then there's a big problem. There's a very big problem that TSM is going to have to figure out. Because there's no way that they should be losing to these players. And that is not a slight on them. A lot of these players have a chance to be very good. Again, I think Niles and a Blaze Olive, very specifically, have a chance to be at least average to above average, potentially even top tier talent in the case of Niles. They just need time to develop. And then this first tournament, they're going to be playing, two people who have been to Worlds Finals. They're going to play, another one in Power of Evil who has plenty of Worlds and everything experience. And then, they're also going to be playing Spica, who now has Worlds experience, has made a great playoff run, and Lost, who frankly has more experience in general than almost everybody else on that team in major regions and even in minor regions. So that's the game that they should win. I expect them to go super aggressive. I expect them to allow Lost to have a little bit of late game and probably Power of Evil a little bit of late game, just to be careful. They don't want to go all early game and then, make some mistakes and things don't look good. So I don't expect that to happen, but I do expect them to pick powerful champions. And I expect them to, to roll that game. I'm hoping it's like a 25-minute game. Then we head into the Sunday game, which will be the CLG game. Now, as I talked about at the beginning of the broadcast, they are not going to be at full capacity, which is a shame because that team is, I think, a little underrated. The more and more I look at them, I'm like, okay, and if Solo's a backup to Finn, then either Finn or Solo, whoever ends up playing top lane, they're not bad. Broxa, I think, got a really bad rap. When you look at his stats and kind of the way that he plays and the way that TL played, he didn't really play that badly. He just wasn't like uber proactive like everybody was hoping, but that's just not how TL plays. So like, I think he got a bad rap. I think he might end up really surprising everybody. He's kind of a dark horse for me to be one of the top junglers, truthfully. And then, Poe Belter has shown that he can still play. Wild Turtle still looked fine last year. Smoothie's their biggest question mark, in my opinion. But with good teams around him, he can normally perform pretty well. So, while this is not going to be your team that's going to blow you out of the water, they are consistent. They are veterans. They know how to play the game, and they know how to play it right. And so, with Broxa and Finn out, that all changes because they get Wiggly, who looked awful last year, if I'm being frank. And they get Solo, who, again, is a little bit of a side grade. But I think this is another game that TSM win. I think especially without Finn and without Broxa, more specifically Broxa, I think that they're a lot easier to take advantage of. I think Spica can wipe the floor with Wiggly. I think he can make his life just absolutely miserable. I expect, Huni and Solo to go at it, but, I think that'll be a pretty even matchup. I like Poe Belter, but I think Power of Evil is much better than him. I think that one will go pretty well. And I think this will be a pretty even matchup for the bot lane, at least for the beginning. Again, talent-wise, I think our bot lane is better overall. But Lost is still new. Sword Art's making his way over to the LCS for the first time. I think that this will be a really good matchup for them to we can see, okay, how good is this team, at least in the bot lane? How good is our bot lane, right? The other two matchups, one's going to be too easy. One might be really tough. So this is kind of like that middle ground. And sadly, I wish that all of CLG had been here because I do think that they are that middle ground team. I think they are going to be that gatekeeper, 5th, 6th, 7th place team that, gets to decide basically who's going to make playoffs. And so, I expect TSM to win this one. I think it could be another fairly quick game, especially considering I doubt that Wiggly has some synergy, obviously, with Poe Belter, but it didn't work last year. And Solo's brand new. I didn't even know that he was, going to be on the team at all. So he must be on CLG Academy or something, or maybe he's doing that thing where he's coaching again until somebody gives him an offer. But either way, I expect at this point TSM to have swept the weekend. With their first game being their toughest. If they're going to lose a game this weekend, I think, that 100 Thieves game is the one that they're going to lose. But after that, I expect wins against Golden Guardians and CLG. Now, they could very easily just look great against 100 Thieves and then forget how to play League of Legends again, against the other two teams. We've seen that in the past with TSM. It wouldn't totally surprise me, but overall, I like their chances at going 3-0 this weekend. So then you head into the next weekend. We'll dive a little bit more into the TL game in the next episode, especially as we're talking about what happened from this weekend. But I expect that to be their loss. I have them at 3-1 right now. That may change, obviously, as the season, or as the tournament goes on, but I expect that to be their loss. Then again, if Santorin's still not here, then TSM could walk out of this group 4-0, and they could be the top seed, which would be interesting, to say the least, because then they would actually play the fourth team from Group B in the quarterfinals of the knockout stage, which I don't know. It's going to be somebody between Dignitas or Immortals. I am not really afraid of either team. I expect it'll probably be Immortals. Now, they could be also a dark horse team, We'll see how that goes, but I can see them playing them and doing well. The only team that I'm afraid of, honestly, in Group B is Cloud9. I think every other team TSM can handle pretty well. Cloud9 will probably finish first in that one, so as long as TSM finished first or third, randomly enough, they won't have to face Cloud9 until later. So that would be ideal. Hopefully they finish first, and then, they would probably get, I'm going to guess 100 Thieves in the semifinals, which would be an awesome 3-game, maybe 5-game series. I think it's 3, though. And then, if they can beat 100 Thieves, then they could make their way to the finals and really do some work. So I expect TSM to at least make it to the knockout stage. I expect them to make it through quarterfinals because, again, as long as they don't finish fourth, they won't have to face Cloud9 right away. And anybody else in Group B, I am not afraid of. They could finish first, second, or third, and they will end up playing some, most likely Evil Geniuses, FlyQuest, or Immortals. Those would be my 3 picks. Bring them all our way. I think we can take them. So, that's a lock-in tournament for you, at least looking at each team and whatnot. I do predict them to finish third or fourth. I think if they end up facing TL or C9, in that quarterfinal matchup, I can see that being a problem. My hope is that TL or C9 have to face each other and that we get 100 Thieves, but yeah, things are going to be unexpected. It's a brand new game, basically, with all the new items. The meta seems interesting, to say the least, and we're just going to have to see what happens. So I'm excited. We'll talk more about it next week, especially because then things will be a lot more clear. I'm either going to be in full-on panic mode because holy shit, somehow they went 0-3, and our hair is on fire, and the world's on fire, and TSM fans we're all sitting here going, what the hell's going on, guys? What's going on here? I'm scared. Or they're going to end up like 3-0, and I'm going to be like, oh, piece of cake. We got it. I obviously there's a middle ground, but I could just totally, oh man, next episode is going to be interesting. I wonder what will happen. But I want to also really quickly point out the thing that I think matters most, and I talked about it earlier, I've talked about it before, and I will talk about it again. This is a test for this team, guys. Reggie has already said he expects his team to go to Worlds. He expects them to perform well at Worlds. And he expects them to win an LCS championship. And the only way that they could do that is if they can beat TL and if they can beat C9. Now, a lot of other people actually have more confidence in TSM than I do when it comes to analysts. And maybe that's just because I'm just used as a Cincinnati Reds and Bengals fan and a TSM fan. In most situations in my life for my teams, they always let me down in some way. We go and we win the LCS championship, and I'm on here. Well, I would have been on here. I didn't have the show yet, but I would have been on here telling you TSM is a good team. They're going to do well at Worlds finally. They're going to make it out of groups, and they are going to perform. And they went 0-6 because nobody could have predicted that everybody on the team would forget how to play with each other. So what matters for this tournament specifically is learning and seeing and figuring out how this team functions. Because it's the teams who understand the way that they can play, the way that they know how to win, that do well at the end of the season. That's why TL went on the run that they went on. Sure, their playstyle may not have been flashy. It may not have been super fun for people to watch to a certain degree. But they knew the talent they had, they knew the players that they had, and they knew what they had to do to get the job done. And that's why they won so much. And TSM used to be the same way. TSM has lost its identity for a number of years, even with Bjergsen still being there. Everybody jokes, oh, it's still Bjergsen and 4 Wards. No, like it wasn't. It was. They had plenty of talent around him. It just didn't work. The Sven and Mithy experiment didn't work. The Darduck experiment definitely did not work. And TSM, now that Bjergsen is definitely gone, the one that they could always fall back on was, hey, Bjergsen's going to help us. Bjergsen's going to carry us. Not anymore. Now, he may carry us from the coaching side of things. Like, maybe he just ends up being a god-tier coach. I mean, the fact that this team did as well as it did with him trying to coach and play is something to behold. I can't wait. I can't wait to see his first draft. It's going to be funny because it's either going to be like, oh shit, all these Parth drafts were actually Bjergsen drafts. Which, at that point, I'm going to be like, oh, I don't know how I feel about this. Or it's going to be that Bjergsen has really put the time and the effort in, which, knowing him, he probably has. And this draft is going to be like something out of a storybook. It's going to be like the tale of Bjergsen, the coach, in his nice tuxedo or whatever he's going to end up wearing out there. And he's going to come out, hopefully, with a beard. And he's going to look like the scholarly gentleman we all expect him to be. And he's going to be like, here we go, MFers. Look at this. Sorry, I'm not going to say that word. I'll say a lot of other cuss words, but I'm not going to probably drop any F-bombs on this show. We'll see, though. Depends on how riled up I get. But anyways, Bjergsen comes out. We paint this picture. And he's like, all right, guys, here's what we're going to do. And he just starts the orchestra. He's like the maestro. And he's playing his song, and 100 Thieves are like, oh my God, what is happening to us? And you just hear the beat start to quicken, to pacing, right? And the next thing you know, TSM walks out with everything they wanted, and 100 Thieves walks out with nothing that they wanted. And that's when we're going to sit there and we're going to be like, holy shit. It's coaching diff. And if he does something like that, oh man, LCS, y'all better watch out. Because I hate to say it, coaching does really matter, and drafts do matter. And I know that players do a lot of the drafting, but when you have a player coach that is as good as Bjergsen, and somebody who has the confidence, like Mithy went from being a coach went from being a player to the coach for Fnatic. And I don't think he got to do as much because it wasn't like Fnatic was his, right? Like, he was coming in, he had always been on G2, he had always been on other teams. I would be shocked if I'd forgotten this, but I don't remember him ever playing on Fnatic. This is Bjergsen's team. He literally owns part of this team. So he's going to come out there and he likely picked a lot of the players that they have on this team. He likely made many of those decisions. Because this has been Bjerg's team since the day he got here. And as long as he is the head coach, this will still be his team. So I'm telling you, if this man comes out and has the style of the team figured out and a draft figured out, and really we see that the coaching is there, that he has brought these 5 players who have never played together, mostly, and they succeed, the LCS better be on watch out, because coaching can make that big of a difference. Look at what Jat did. Times that with Bjergsen, who played a lot longer than Jat and who has a lot more knowledge of the game. That's no slight on Jat. I love Jat. So there's my little rant there. Let's talk about the meta real quick. So the LCK and the LPL have already started playing. Now, I don't want to get you all too excited. Keep it in your pants. But this is a really, really good meta. I mean, exceptional meta for this team. Let me read to you some of the most important champions for each of these great players that we have. For Spica, Graves, who he's been okay on, is very big. Set has been seen all over the place. 7-2, he's pretty good on Set. Nidalee and Olaf, 2 big carry champions for our boy Spica there. And let me tell you, we have seen plenty of Nidalee. Not plenty, but we've seen games of Nidalee. She's viable. We've seen Graves. We've seen Olaf. And we have also seen... who am I missing? Pantheon, who I think he could be very solid on. And then we've seen Sad all over the place. So that's great. All right, then let's continue to the other young player. Good old Lost. Now, Ezreal, Varus, Lucian, Xayah, Ashe, and Kalista, those are his top champions in terms of games played. They're not there, but a champion named Kaisa and a champion named Jhin, his next two champions, who he has a combined 19 and 12 record on, with Jhin being actually one of his best champions by a lot. And the top 80 carries, Jhin and Kaisa. Jhin and Kaisa. With Aphelios as well, and you know, he's got some good games on Aphelios. He comes right after Jhin. He's 7 and 5 on Aphelios. Got a great KDA on him as well. So, looking solid there. Then we go to Leona and Alistar. Oh, baby. And Set too, which Sword Art has not played very much Set, to be honest. So I don't know how much we're going to be able to really use him. If we do try to flex him, it's going to be a little tougher, because I think if we pick him, people are going to know that Spica's probably getting him. But I digress there. We got to look at Alistar Leona. He has a combined... Let me make sure I count this right. He has a combined 123 games played between the two. 123 games. He has a record of 71 and 32. 71 and 32. Okay, that's a combined win rate of like about, I think, 65%, maybe 67. They're some of his best champions. I would argue Alistar and Braum are his best champions of all time. And then, you know, I mean, he's got a lot of great ones, but like, these are two of not only his top played, but his highest win rates and most successful. Alistar is his highest win rate on any champion he has played over 30 games on, with Morgana coming in at a close second, and then at 22 games, he's got an 82% win percentage on Janna. This is a great meta for him. And apparently Alistar and Leona are just trading. Everybody's just trading him. So he's probably going to get one of them. And damn, we want the $6 million man to come in and do some work. Oh, this might be it. This might be it. And then we'll look at the top lane. Obviously, Huni is known for Rumble and Gangplank, but he's also known for Gnar. Okay? He is 20 and 9 on Gnar. And guess who is the top laner in the game right now? A man who goes by the name, well, I guess a beast thing, that goes by the name of Gnar. In both the LPL and the LCK, Gnar is the number one top laner, with Camille at a close second, which he is 6 and 4 on in his career as well. But I mean, when you look back and you think of some of the biggest plays that Huni's ever made, Gnar's on there. He's played that champion at Worlds. And he can bring out Rumble or Gangplank no matter what the hell meta it is. So, you know, there's a chance that he pulls that out. Now, I will say there's not been, to my knowledge, and I'm not seeing either of those champions. There is Ornn, there is Jace and Renekton, and some Aatrox and Kennen, it looks like. Not exactly champions that he plays on a regular basis. He's been good on Ornn, though, at 6 and 9. And Irelia at 13 and 4, who she's been played some too. So depending on the style they go, you know, he could get those. Now, you know, I think Rumble's going to get probably banned, which is one of the good things about having Huni on your team is Rumble pretty much always gets banned. And if not, then he ends up picking Rumble. So it's kind of like a double-edged sword. They're not going to probably... They can't afford to spend 2 bans early on, at least, on Huni. So he's probably going to play a lot of Gnar this weekend. And, I mean, I expect that if he plays all 3 games on Gnar, we should be thrilled because he wins on Gnar and he knows how to play him. But if you weren't already just through the roof with excitement, I'm going to read for you the top mid laners that have been played so far. Zoe. Oh. Orianna. Oh. Syndra. And Victor. Wow. Orianna's the most played so far between both leagues. Syndra is second. Actually, Zoe. No, it's in. No, it's Zoe second, and then Syndra, and then Victor. And we got to see PoE's Zoe get a little bit better last year. And lo and behold, who are 3 of his top 4 played champions? Orianna, Syndra, and Victor. Now, I will say his Victor is 15 and 19. Preferably, we'd love to see him on the Orianna. Even his Syndra is 31 and 34. But I think a lot of those were games where he, I think it was a little bit more early on in his career. He showed a lot more on those champions later on in his career. But either way, the point is, he plays them a lot. This meta is like right up his alley. It's only missing a Azir, basically. And if they had that, then he would be set. So, yeah, to say the meta for the lock-in tournament is right up TSM's alley, that would be an understatement. I mean, if they went with, like, Nidalee, Gnar, Jhin, yeah, Alistar, and Orianna. That's a hell of a draft right there, friends. It's a lot of poke with some really nice frontline in both Gnar and Alistar. They can get stuff started. They can, peel for their carries. Orianna can peel for herself. Jhin can peel for himself. Nidalee is just going to be able to do her thing. Orianna can also roam. Wow. I mean, that's a good draft right there. And that's a winning draft for TSM. Just so you know. That's a winning draft for TSM. And even if they could even go something like the Olaf early instead. And allow this team to get an early lead. And wow. Oh, baby. That's good stuff. That's really good stuff. I'm really excited about this meta. I'm really excited about this tournament. As long as the meta stays similar, through this tournament, in TSM, I'm sure we'll pull out some extra picks that we haven't talked about. But, maybe they pull out the Zillion. Maybe PoE's really been working on his Zillion. But either way, very excited. So that's the lock-in tournament. We still have 2 topics to go. Sorry, this one's going to definitely go over. I didn't really expect it to go this much over, but hey, it's the before the season preview basically show. So we should be pretty excited, to say the least. Sorry. All right, so heading into topic 2 here, we're going to real quickly preview the spring split. And as a reminder, we'll go over this, a lot more in the next couple weeks once the tournament's over, for TSM at least. 6 weeks, 3 games a week. Okay, sorry, something just came up on my computer that I didn't understand. Okay, 6 weeks, 3 games a week as a reminder. So, what was normally a 9-week season has been, put into 6 weeks. With, the same amount of games, but, more in each weekend. And I think that that's going to be important for this team because, you can't, especially like in the spring season, you can't really have a bad weekend. You really don't want to go 0-3 in a weekend. That is going to put you really far behind. At a minimum, they should really hope to go 1-2, in their worst weekends. 2-0s would be great, or 2-1s would be great, and then 3-0 obviously would be fantastic. So, it's not going to be, you go 1-1, or even if you go 0-2, that's okay. If you go 2-0 the next week, that extra game's going to matter, and it's a lot less time to prep. So keep that in mind. And while they will have just played everybody in the tournament, things can shift to, week by week. So we'll have to see. I really quickly as well want to go through my player rankings for this team. So, I've gone over this before a little bit, but I did a little bit more of a deeper dive, and I'm going to kind of tell you guys where I see our team right now. So right now, I'll start in the top lane. I've got Someday, Alfari, Licorice, Fudge, and then Huni Impact. I think Huni can work his way up into that third spot. If he is really on his game, he can push someday. I don't expect that to happen. He hasn't really done that ever that I can think of since Someday has been in NA. I know that, there was some time on Echo Fox when Huni was just dominating, but I don't know. I shrug. I really like Huni. I think that he's going to be better than we've all thought. I think when he has Bjergsen putting in, his, hey, I believe in you into him, I think that's going to help him a lot. I think Licorice is going to be on a new team. That's going to be tough for him. He's consistently been one of the top. And so, I think that he's deserving of that third spot. I think Alfari had a rough season, but I think being in NA is going to help him a lot. And I think Fudge is potentially going to just maybe be a little bit higher because his team's going to be a little bit better. Not much, but a little bit. So I don't know. We'll see there. Impact's always just solid. He's just a rock. He's super solid. He's kind of the exact opposite of Huni. Huni likes to take risks and plays a lot more aggressively. Impact kind of plays back and is willing to just totally play weak side without, worrying about consequences because he doesn't really make any bad decisions all that often. So, I truly believe that, he is going to be really solid. But, we're going to have to really kind of see what happens here. Oh, TSM, as we're talking, just released a new video that I will have to watch as well. Anyways, I don't think it's Legends yet, which I can't wait for that to come out. Hopefully it comes out today or tomorrow. But then we head into our jungler ratings. And this one you guys are going to be a little bit upset with me for. I'm sorry. Santorin was the best jungler in the LCS last year. It's really hard to argue that. He is so good. He is so good. The only reason that he would be ranked any lower, especially in something like Fantasy, would be if he doesn't start the season off and maybe struggles a little bit, because he didn't have time to practice with his team. But he has worked his way into that. It's been a long road for him, but he is an outstanding jungler and can play any style and can do just about anything. So he's there. I have Blabber and Closer above Spica mainly for two reasons. One is I think Blabber is still a superstar and he's going to have perks with him. That's only going to make him stronger. Then for Closer, again, he's playing with basically the exact same team he had last year. And that's a really big advantage over Spica, who's going to have a new head coach and 4 new players around him. So at least for the spring, I have, and this is just the start of the spring, I have Closer, Blabber, and Santorin above him. I think Spica can be the best jungler in the LCS. But we've only seen one split plus a playoffs and worlds out of him. Which is, sure, that is a lot. That's basically a full year, basically. But we need to see more before we can for sure say that he is the guy in terms of the LCS. I think he's the guy for TSM, and I think he's going to be very strong for our team. But, again, I think we just need to pump the brakes a little bit, understand how good he can be, and keep him there for now. I also like to I'd rather underestimate than overestimate, so that's just kind of how I do things. In the mid lane, it's gonna be Jensen, Perks, and Power of Evil. There's just no other conversation outside of them. I think at least at the beginning of the split, you can mix any of the three. Right now, I think because Jensen is getting Santorin, I have him ranked a little bit higher. I still do have Perks as the top because he's just one of the best players of all time. Anybody who tries to argue that, you're out of your mind. He did a role swap and was still one of the best in his role. I know he struggled a lot, especially later on when they switched him back and, they were doing all this shuffling. But, like, when he had a full year to commit to it, he was pretty damn good. So, yeah. I'm going to be honest. Perks is solid. Jensen's solid. Power of Evil's solid. And then you just fall off a cliff after that. No offense to the rest of the guys, but they just don't stack up to those three. Those three are going to be the top three. And I think, again, Power of Evil has a chance to be at least second. Potentially first. We'll see. He was better than Jensen last year. Listen, I don't have anything against Jensen personally, but I think he is vastly overrated. I think Power of Evil can be as good, if not better, than Jensen. Straight up. And we're going to get to see it. Hopefully a lot this year. And then we will get to the 80 carry, which this one is a little less of a sure thing, if you ask me. Right now I have Tactical and Sven up at the top. Then I have FBI, then Lost, Johnson, and then Wild Turtle. Ray's definitely Neo Stixay. I probably underrated Stixay, but he's just not impressed me. I'll be honest with you guys. Out of everybody, this is the one that I am the least sure on, and the one that I think I am probably overrating, actually. I think Johnson's really good. I'm just going to say it straight up. I think Johnson is extremely good. And I think FBI is really good, and I think Tactical's really good. The one who I'm kind of like, I could see Sven dropping out. I think Sven's good, but, like, I don't know about this meta for him. He fell off the whole bot lane just really fell off a cliff compared to where they were at the beginning of 2020. And yeah, I mean, Lost has the potential to be a top 5, to be even a top 3. But there's a reason he's been in Academy for this long. And there's a reason also that TSM were kind of willing to move him. Right? I mean, I know that we were planning on Doublelift. I probably would have put Doublelift in the same spot I put Lost. And the reason Lost I have him this high is because of Sword Art. Frankly. So, we will see. Then at support, I have Core JJ, Vulcan, Huhi, and then our boy Sword Art, and then Ignore. This one's another one you guys are going to be upset about, but I'm trying to really look at this as where are they right now? Not where they're going to be, but where are they right now? Core JJ has won multiple MVPs. He's been the best player in the damn league for a long time. It's going to be hard for me to put Sword Art over Core JJ for a very long time. Sword Art's going to have to like really bring it for like this whole year for me to put him over Core JJ, and Core JJ will have just had to have an awful season. Vulcan has been very good as well. He also fell off a cliff, but it's hard for me to put him any lower because C9 is going to be great, and it's going to make him look great, and he's just going to be able to play a little bit more freely. So, and then FBI and Huhi, I have to put them in the same spot right now, just like I'm going to do for Lost and Sword Art. Actually, funny enough, I ranked the ADCs and the supports almost exactly the same. Well, I'm at least in the top 4, they are the exact same. So, I guess bot lane wise, I have TL, C9, 100 Thieves, and then TSM. And I think that's how it's going to be for right now. We will see. Lost is our biggest question mark because we just don't know what he can do at this level. Now, he's going to have a world-class support who will, in my opinion, likely get up to at least that second spot in the LCS once all is said and done with this split and probably with this season. But it's gonna be hinging on how well does Lost play. And there's a lot of pressure on this kid because he's never had a chance before like this. He's playing on a team that's expected to go very far, and he's got somebody behind him in Cody's son who would probably still be ranked in the top 5 if he was playing. I mean, it is still shocking to me that Evil Geniuses decided on deftly over Cody's son. For a team that wanted to compete, I can't believe that Cody's son was not picked. I truly cannot. So, there's a lot of pressure on our boy Lost, and he is going to have to perform in order to not have to feel that as much. So we will see what happens. That's where I have everybody for right now. You can scold me in the comments later. I totally get it. I do think they make the playoffs. I have them finishing third. I think that's going to be the story of TSM until they can prove otherwise. I think their ceiling is that they can win. I think their floor is that they finish fifth because some pieces don't come together as quickly as we'd like. They end up having to make potentially changes with Hanser and Cody's son and Hooney and Lost. That could happen. If that's the case, then, they might struggle a little bit. We're also putting a lot of faith in Spica, who, again, has not played that much. And he had a lot of veteran talent around him. And one of his closest friends when he came up was Broken Blade. And Broken Blade's gone too. So, the whole team, there's a lot of varying results that we'll see with this team. And like I said, for the spring, we will go, a lot deeper than we thought. So, yeah. That's where we're at for right now. And I think that they will do well in playoffs. I don't see them winning this split. I think summer's going to be a lot better for them. It's a lot longer. There's more time to figure things out. But there is a chance that this team ends up just stomping everybody because this meta is going to be really good for them. And when Viego ends up hitting, again, also known as the Rune King, that's going to be awesome for this team and awesome for Spica. So there's my brief spring split preview. I'll dive a lot deeper into it once we get closer to the season and once we can go through some games and we'll have a better idea of where the team is at. We'll finish with our last topic, new jerseys. And, well, it wasn't all red like I predicted. I said red. I said it. I have recordings of it. We have red in our jerseys for the first time ever, I believe. And when I say ever, I mean prominently displayed. Maybe they had it in some other iterations in small parts, but that red it's pretty rocking, man. I like it. I like it a lot, actually. I really like this jersey. It's like a combination of stuff that you saw in the 90s in terms of the pattern with that extra TSM star. And it's the black and white that we all know, but then it's got that nice kind of red outline to bring it all together. And sure, it looks a lot like 100 Thieves jersey. Whatever. I don't care. I like it. I like it a lot, and I'm very excited, and I've been trying to buy one since they accidentally revealed it, a little bit earlier than I think they thought to. And I can't because it's still not up in the store. So I'm really excited, for this new jersey. I'm probably going to get myself one. Also on it, they revealed Cadillac as their new sponsor, which, man, car companies love LCS teams right now. Cadillac is funny. Yeah, it's funny because it's Cadillac's kind of like an older person car, and it's kind of it's supposed to be style, right? And weirdly enough, I think it fits TSM perfectly. We're one of the oldest orgs in the league. Actually, I think we are the oldest org in the league, technically. And we are all about style and just, there's almost this air of eminence of kingship and, I don't know, just good stuff, right? Or just regal. Regal's the word I'm thinking of. And Cadillac screams that kind of stuff, and it just fits the branding of TSM. And I'm sure when whoever was pitching this to Cadillac or Cadillac pitching it to TSM, I'm assuming it was TSM pitching it to Cadillac, but when they were sitting in that boardroom talking, they were probably regal, style, old. TSM and Cadillac, baby. That's how we do it. So, I love that. Also, it's pretty clear to me that Spica's the guy. He's the guy who's going to take over for Bjergsen. He's been in every commercial. He's been in, even the LCS stuff, the promos. There's a lot of pressure on this 18, I think maybe 19-year-old kid. But I love it, man. I love seeing Spica in the spotlight. He seems to just thrive in it. And, man, I hope this kid wasn't a one-year wonder, man. I just want to see him crush this year. I want to see him be the premier jungler. Like, I want everybody to be like, oh, remember when we thought Blabber was going to be that premier jungler? It's Spica. And then I will say, all praise Ming. All praise our boy Ming. I also got a new hat from the store. It's still stuff is still on sale. I love this hat. And I have 2 TSM hats. I have a sweatshirt. I've got a jersey. I'm going to be wearing them on Friday, on Saturday, and on Sunday. I will be adorned in TSM stuff, and then hopefully once the jersey is out, I will probably buy one, and then I will get one for myself to wear. And, I will be decked out in TSM gear. I am still hoping for new merch, by the way, too. I feel like that's going to come. I feel like that's going to happen, so we'll see. Be on the lookout for it, though, because the store hasn't been updated yet. There's no jerseys on it, so, I'm really, really excited for this. Like, I think this season's going to be great. I just have that feeling that this season's going to be great. This team's going to be great. There's going to be new merch. The new jerseys look sick. There's a lot of good stuff. And as we start to wind down, it's been over an hour, and I know that's long for a lot of you. Again, I expected this to be a long one. I know we spent like the first 50 minutes talking about the lock-in tournament, but that's the big thing. That's the big thing coming this week. As a reminder, we have 100 Thieves at 6 p.m. Eastern, 3 p.m. Pacific on Friday. Then on Saturday, 5 p.m. Eastern, 2 p.m. Pacific, they will be playing Golden Guardians. And then Sunday, 7 p.m. Eastern, 4 p.m. Pacific, they will have CLG. And then they'll have, on that Friday, they will have, like the next Friday, they'll have Team Liquid. So it's great stuff. Really good stuff. Make sure that you are watching, TSM fans. Not that I doubt that you would anyways. Here's our question of the week. Going back to the meta and looking at how prominent Nidalee has been, do you think that Nidalee gets through for Spica in more than one game? I think he gets Spica, or I think Spica gets Nidalee in one game. I can't imagine that the 100 Thieves are going to be the team that lets Nidalee through for him. I just can't see it after what he did to them last year, but hey, who knows? Maybe they will. Let me know in the comments below and on Reddit. Yeah, do you think he gets Nidalee more than one game during the lock-in tournament? Or I should say the first round of the lock-in tournament. I think he'll get her more than once, but at least, I would say twice in the first 4 games. Will you get her at least twice in the first 4 games? If you like the show, please take a second to like, subscribe, and comment to the TGH YouTube channel. Hit the bell icon so you don't miss another episode of Talking TSM. Also, I want to make sure that this is the #1 TSM podcast on all podcasting platforms. If you feel so inclined, please leave a review, especially if you're listening on Apple Podcasts. Thank you. Excuse me. Please share this with your friends. You can find the official tweet if you're on Twitter, either on my account at TGH Robert Haynes or on the Gamehouse's Twitter account at TGH Esports. Please use the hashtag TalkingTSM when tweeting at us or sharing. Lastly, new part here, make sure that you head to thegamehouse.com, H-A-U-S, thegamehaus.com, and head to our TSM page, which is under the Esports and League of Legends tabs, to see all of our TSM content, which is written mostly by myself, where you can get a lot more of my thoughts than just what's on this show. And with that, thank you for tuning in. Enjoy the first weekend that we have TSM back. Reminder, the show comes out every Thursday and is exclusively for your TSM earholes. I'm Robert Haynes, and this has been Talking TSM. See you next week.